Enspiral to me is a collective of individuals and organisations working collaboratively to make the world a better place.
A network of people and companies who have formed together around shared values.
Enspiral is a collection of socially conscious people and people who want to do good and people who really care about that.
The core of it is something about changing the world through livelihood. I've always had a job and activism as two separate things. So Enspiral for me provides some additional fulfillment and support with my job, but I'm sure other companies do that too. So more it's about a group of people working together to create real change and doing it in a fairly disruptive kind of way, hopefully. So taking some leaps from the book of some of the big tech company successes and stuff, that a few people, if you can find the right point to lever against, can cause a really big change.
As long as you're building capability to give people agency to create their own things, which is I guess the basic entrepreneurship piece in my mind, and you're simultaneously doing that at a high quality kind of way, and you're simultaneously doing it in such a way that's creating more social and environmental good in the world and not externalizing costs of inputs, basically. That combination of things makes something Enspiral-y. Enspiral is an essentially entrepreneurial space, and we try to create opportunities, we create connections, we create those network effects, which is that there are people in the network who have the skills that you need or have connections to the people that you're going to need to talk to for this new project that you're doing. But essentially, it's up to you. It's up to you to find your own income streams. It's up to you to have those conversations and make those relationships work for you. No one's going to give you the answers. No one's going to give you a job, really. It's a fertile ground for entrepreneurship and almost nothing else.
At the beginning, it was just me, and I was like, I've got some ideas, and some people said, yeah, let's do them, and then I was like, am I nuts? Is this going to work? And now it's like, oh, this is working, okay, cool. And so I think that I've definitely gained a lot of confidence from the process, like, oh, actually, we were bang on. The stuff we were saying and thinking about, that has legitimacy. And so I think that I've definitely grown a lot more confident in the last, from the 4 or 5 years from it. Incredibly humbled by it as well. Like, it's so many amazing people showing up and contributing to something. It's just been, I need to up my game on every level. Like, it's who I am and how I be. I feel like it needs to just get better every week, every month, every year, because the network is evolving so fast and the people in it are growing so fast.
The reason that it's really worked well for me to be at Enspiral is the support of the whole person. So you can bring all of you to work, including the things that aren't so good about you. So if you're having tough days, it's okay to have a tough day. When you're having trouble with something, it's okay to say, I'm not good at this bit of stuff and I'm struggling with it, and other people will just come in and help you with it. They'll go, I'm really good at that, I'll come and help you. And the support that gave me it meant that I actually got better. And so I was able to do the work because I was supported.
There is a definite sense of, like, we have our social goals and that is what we want to do. And I feel like the most obvious way is how it translates to how employees are treated. Or like people who work for Enspiral, you are working for you and you are working for something you care about. It's rather than this nebulous external thing. And I think that because of that, people just automatically care more about what they do. They don't really have to be like tricked into it by any like managerial bullshit or incentives or stuff like that.
You can actually be involved in decision making in Enspiral in a way that you can't in a large institution. So they have lots of programs and projects to try and make you feel like you're engaged in the process, but it's not really the reality, and people realise that it's not the reality.
Yeah.
Whereas in Enspiral, you can be as involved as you want to be.
And with Enspiral, I feel like I need to take action more, like because we are responsible for our own doing, and as a network, Yeah. So I just feel like just be with Enspiral, I feel like more work instead of other place they maybe have hierarchy and you just do what you are told and just do your job and you are good, something like that. I feel like with Enspiral I feel more natural. I want to work.
We brought in some HR experts to do a workshop with us to help us upskill about employment law responsibilities and good HR practice. And it was really interesting because we ended up asking them questions like, how do you stop people working too much for free? And they would say, I don't think I've ever been asked that before from a company.
There's certainly something about distributing power a bit more equitably. So that's something that we think we can probably achieve with process or technology. Something about people working together, perhaps in a peer-to-peer fashion, that lets us access the power of distributed networks. Other companies I've worked in, improving team process and communication was always kind of seen as a bit of a means towards making you a better cog in somebody else's machine. At Enspiral, even if we are just working on a really conventional contract for a standard business, I think the fact that we put so much work into culture and team building and communication makes a difference, and that's partly reflected in the fact that we have a really diverse team, which is uncommon in the tech industry.
You can go out on a limb to create the little thing that you see needs doing, and you don't have to ask permission. Autonomy and collaboration sitting side by side as two things that Enspiral aims to hold at the same time, whereas other organizations that are decentralized don't focus on the autonomy piece. They focus on the collective decision making and collective experience and togetherness piece, and that strangles the autonomy piece. So it's kind of, I think that's the dance, and it's one that Enspiral is like not doing perfectly, but at least holding the intention to constantly serve both.
I think it's important to be on the same page philosophically. I think if you're all trying to achieve different sort of very fundamental differences in the terms of the goals you're going for, I think it's very tricky. But I think there's also good elements in having a bit of diversity in terms of what people are good at and what people are even striving to do. But I think the core is that you have to have some sort of binding philosophy that isn't just making money or various things like that.
I made the best choice for me at the moment, which was working for a company in Christchurch that produced power wheelchairs. And I was like, yeah, so this is still a tech company, but I'm still doing something that's helping people. I feel like this will be good. So I got there, and like I was really shocked to find that for them, the purpose of the company wasn't to create this product that was valuable for people. The purpose was like, we need to make a profit for the shareholders. And I was just like, whoa, I didn't expect this. And then after talking to a lot of other people who have graduated from my class, like that is the reality when you're working for a company. That is not about creating value for people, it's about creating value for shareholders.
The dominant form of organisation on our planet is shareholder-driven command and control organisations, and it's a very successful form of organisation. It's created a huge amount of value and beauty in the world, but it fundamentally behaves like a virus where it takes parts of society which are not commercialised, and then it's commercialises them. And that's fundamentally what economic growth is, I think, in like the century sort of view. So if you look at, I think childcare is a really good example. If you go back a couple of generations, it would be rare for people to have professional childcare, and then now it's much more common. And what that looks like is that's economic growth, that's more jobs, that's more money and so on. But it's at the expense of community. And I think that one of the reasons why it's hard for people to find meaningful work is that most of the work out there is fundamentally driven by economic growth and an economic paradigm which doesn't value community, environment, planet, people sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's that finding those new forms of businesses which have social and environmental impacts but also pay people well and look after them and are meaningful careers, which there's just not enough of them around. There's a huge amount of challenges in the world, big global issues, which are large systemic global challenges, and there's not enough people working on them. And the main idea was help people who want to change the world have the time and money to do so. So fundamentally it's about more people working on stuff that matters.